right, welcome back, y'all. Welcome back to Clash of Cultures. As you guys can see today, we're doing an NFL mock draft. I have my dad and I got Sterling here with me today. We tried to get Alex in, the internet guy, but today we're gonna do a mock draft. It's probably gonna be about an hour long video again. If you guys are really into football, make sure you guys stick around for the full thing. Kind of see where our heads at and where we think teams should draft based on their team needs and the best players available. We already did a wheel spin off camera. My dad's gonna have the first pick. Sterling's gonna have the second pick. I'm gonna have the third pick, and we're gonna stay in that order all the way to the end of the draft. But just to kind of kick things off now, my dad's obviously has the Panthers first overall pick. So
Man, so I'm on the clock. I'm going to go and really kind of my angle on this is what I think the team should do, not necessarily what I think they're going to do tomorrow. So with the first pick, I'm going to take CJ Stroud. I think he's the most pro-ready quarterback. I think his athleticism is a little underrated, and we got to see that a little bit in the Georgia game. But just him in the pocket, his ability as a pocket passer. I do have some concerns with him under pressure. So if Carolina can continue to build that line, or whatever team he goes to can continue to build that line, again, just his accuracy. And like I said, I think he has sneaky athleticism. I don't think this is what the Panthers are going to do, but I think he is the best NFL-ready quarterback. I do have concerns about Bryce Young's size. I think he's a great player, exciting, but what, at 180 pounds, 200 pounds, 5'10", 5'11", we've seen running smaller quarterbacks have injuries in the NFL when you're playing with grown men, and I have some concerns about Bryce Young drafting him as my franchise quarterback at number one. I think CJ Stroud has the prototypical size, has the prototypical NFL game. So I think he's ready to be the best NFL quarterback. So I'm going to CJ Stroud.
um, it's actually crazy when you actually look at this. His best game was against Georgia, like by far. And that's actually crazy. I think that says a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously they didn't win that game, but I mean that was a
I don't know how to
92.
bring that up like that.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, look at his. I mean,
Nah,
against the best teams he's played. I mean, he played his best. He played his best playing against the best
they
teams.
didn't lose that game because of him. That
No, no,
man,
no. He was
he went
balling.
crazy.
He did his
He
thing.
went crazy.
Yeah, he did his thing.
Um,
Absolutely.
I specifically remember watching that game.
but yeah, Sterling, how do you feel about that pick?
Yeah, I like it. I really do. To be honest, like I'm not very surprised about it. I've been seeing like I haven't really been too tuned in to like all the Mel Kipers and just the general reports of everybody talking about who's getting taken at one. I feel like this year it's like it's one of two, but I've been seeing a lot of C.J. Stroud to Carolina, a lot of insider stuff like that. I don't think it's impossible that he goes there tomorrow. And to be honest, if I was going first, I probably would have took him as well. I think he's a more pro-ready quarterback. To be honest, like I liked him this year, but that game against Georgia really did sell me on him. I was like, this guy, he's different, bro.
Yeah.
He really put the team on his back. But like I said, like on top of that, I was like, CJ put on some weight. Like usually they wait till they get to the league to kind of put that grown man weight on. That man got big, bro. But I think he's ready, man. I think obviously the these 10 teams here are gonna have to put a lot around whatever quarterback or player they take for them to really be successful. He's not just gonna come out and just dominate, especially not in Carolina. But they'll definitely win more games than they won last year. So I like the CJ Stroud pick, to be honest.
Okay, and then on the clock next, we got the Texans with Sterling's pick. So who would you
Yes,
pick for the
sir.
Texans if you were the Texans GM?
So right back at me. I mean, I don't really need to explain it, but I'm going Bryce Young here for obvious reasons. The next most pro-ready quarterback. Obviously, I like C.J. Stroud more than him, but I feel like this is an amazing pick for Houston just because, like, I mean, this is as all the quarterbacks they've taken. I don't know. I feel really good about Bryce Young. I just don't see him being a bust. I don't see him having a bad career. I see him playing really well. I think he could have like a Trevor Lawrence kind of rookie year, which obviously the first season it wasn't all that great, but he showed a lot of flash, and with the weapons that he had around him, they were able to build on that, and then he went in next season had a playoff win. Again, I don't think Houston will do that. I think Jacksonville's on the rise anyway. Not that that matters, but I think obviously Bryce Young here is the obvious pick. You literally can't go anything else. So
So I see, Stephen, you kind of laughed at the shades of Deshaun.
I don't see it.
Outside of the size, I think their games are very similar.
oh, I see that. That's cool. Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
I feel like Deshaun runs a lot more than him though.
no, Bryce runs. It's not like
I
Bryce.
mean, but like with design run
So
plays.
I would say because, and this is the reason, I think they are both not Lamar Jackson, what we're talking about, run
Yeah.
first quarterbacks. They both want to work from the pocket, but they can extend plays and they can run. They both have a little bit of I don't want to say razzle dazzle, but the ability to extend plays and make amazing throws outside of the pocket. Like I said, the size thing is obviously a big difference, but I see that. I see the Deshaun Watson to Bryce Young comparison.
Okay, so with the third pick, the Arizona Cardinals, this is a team that obviously doesn't need a quarterback. I think I'm gonna go with the safe pick here, and I think this is something that they would do. I'm gonna go with Will Anderson. I think he's the overall best player in the draft, football player in the draft. I mean, he was projected since like the beginning of last season to go number one. So I'm gonna go with Will Anderson here. He was dominant at Alabama, and I think he would fit good on that defensive front for the Cardinals. I'm pretty sure they lost. So they lost Watt, and who else did they lose? Who was the
Uh,
other end? Did they have
The
Chandler
guy
Jones?
no.
Who was their other
He's
end?
in Vegas.
It wasn't Chandler Jones, but I
Uh, he
remember
was
Chandler Jones had 5 sacks
he
with him
was a
like 2 years ago.
he was a white guy. I want to say it was that rookie from
I
SDSU.
don't know how I don't know because I use the Cardinals every year in Madden.
No, yeah, I think he was. I think it was that dude from SDSU that DN. I forgot his name.
I can tell you right now. But I think he fit nice with them. And I mean, like I said, I think he's the best player in the draft. I think he's the most pro ready player in the draft. So I feel like that's a no brainer for Arizona to take Will Anderson. Um, he's a freakish athlete, and like I said, I think he would fit well with them.
So why him over Jalen Carter?
I don't think they're going to take Jalen Carter because of all the off field stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and I think, like I said, I think Will Anderson is more pro ready. You don't really have to worry about any of that stuff off the field with him. And I think, like I said, if you combine last year with this year, he's had probably one of the better runs for a Alabama defensive lineman, and they've had a lot of good Alabama defensive linemen. And I mean, last year, did he win Defensive Player of the Year last year or this year?
This year.
This year. So I mean, and he had a great year last year as well.
He
So
did.
I mean, I feel like that's the safe pick, the smart pick for them. Like I said, he was projected to go first last year. Obviously, fell a little bit this year based off of teams needing a quarterback. So I feel like he's definitely a day one starter, and I think he's probably gonna get picked here. And this is where I
A
would go
hundred,
if I was
a
Arizona.
100%. I love that pick. I mean, Will Anderson. Oh, my screen went away. Here we are. Yeah, I mean, like obviously to me, he's the best defensive player in this draft. I think especially them with Edge, obviously losing Watt, but like they haven't had like when's the last time you remember the Cardinals like drafting a young good pass rusher that was like
Yeah.
homegrown, like that you can associate with
They had what? Hassan Reddick, I think.
Oh, Hassan Reddick, yeah, they did. They
Hassan
drafted
Reddick,
him. He's
and
not
at
there
the
anymore
same
though.
time
Yeah. No. I'm just yeah.
but he wasn't what he is now. Like what he became in when he was in Carolina, was it or when he with Philly even like
Philly, yeah, Philly.
Philly like he wasn't that, you know. But I think any team that he goes to, he's gonna dominate. Like that's just a fact. Gonna make that team a lot better. So I mean that's a good pick. He's not. I don't think he leaves without being a top 5 pick.
I like.
5 might be pushing.
Yeah, I like Will Anderson. He's a monster.
All right, the Colts are on the clock.
All right, the Colts. I don't think they can go into the season with Garner Minshew as their starting quarterback. And really, so then we're at two quarterbacks at this point that have, and I'll say first round potential. I think both of these quarterbacks also have bust potential. But of the two, I'm going to take the one with a little bit more college production. Uh, both of them have very good prototypical measurements. Both of them are big, but I'm going to go with Will Levis here. I am like I said, not necessarily who I think he does have obvious bust potential, but hopefully they can bring him in. He can learn. I don't think and I don't want to say isn't a day one starter. I think he has NFL traits. He has the ability. We saw that not necessarily this year, but last year. I think, especially in Indy, where they have some weapons, they have Paris Campbell, they have Jonathan Taylor, they have some weapons.
Pittman.
Well, I only named the Ohio State player. But yeah, they have Michael Pittman. So they have some players. They have some skill there. So you can put them around some skill. They have a decent line. So he may be, especially when we compare him to the other two quarterbacks, he may be in a better situation if he was to go to Indy. He may fall into a better situation with a little bit more talent around him. And I think that's what he would need to be successful. So yeah, we'll leave this here.
Okay. Yeah, what do I have? For Seattle, I have Nolan Smith going here.
Nolan Smith, okay.
That might be a little high for him, but I think for them, again, another team where it's like, what good pass rusher do you remember out of Seattle? Like they had like on the Super Bowl run, they had like Cliff Averill and Michael Bennett, but like since then, like who have they had? And I think that's a big factor. This team is they're building on a young core. I think they have a potential to be like the next like really good young defense, like with Tariq Woolen, who was arguably like neck and neck, just as good as Sauce Gardner. I mean, like Sauce had like two picks this year, but he clamped. But so did Woolen. Woolen had like 6. But I think they're building something there, especially on that defense, and having a guy like Nolan Smith, with his pass rushing ability, with his speed. I think will really help them. His comp is Dante Fowler, which is like obviously to me Fowler. I wouldn't call him a bust, but like I thought Fowler was going to be a lot better in the league.
He's kind of up and down, yeah.
He benefited from being on some really good defenses, but he was never going to be that guy. I don't see that in Nolan Smith though. I see him really balling out, and really helping this team's pass rush a lot more.
No, I like that pick. And for those of you who were paying attention when I was clicking through the trends and stuff, this was actually the most. Here, I'll just go back to it. That was the most drafted for everybody who's done this draft on this website. That was the team that drafted the most. Was towards Seattle. I don't know if it was that pick, but it was to Seattle. So that was interesting that you picked them there.
I feel good.
But yeah, they were most to Seattle. Moving on to pick 6. I'm up with Detroit. I feel like with the players remaining, this is kind of a no-brainer. I know we've been saying that quite a bit the last couple picks, but to me, I passed on Jalen Carter with the Cardinals. I'm not going to do it again with the Lions. Pairing him alongside the other guy from Michigan. I forget his name. I'm not going to say it.
You talking about Max Williams?
No, what's his name, Sterling? I'm just forgetting his name.
From Detroit, Hutchinson?
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson. There we go. Aiden Hutchinson. With I don't know why I forgot his name for a second. With Jalen Carter.
Were joking.
No, I was not joking. Yeah, I forgot his name. But pairing him alongside Jalen Carter with Aiden Hutchinson, I feel like that would be a really good force. Jalen Carter can do it all in the interior. He could pass rush, he could run stop, and I think adding that to the defensive line, yes, a wide receiver would have been nice for Detroit, but I think Jalen Carter at 6, the value at 6 is really good for him, and it's just going to solidify the defense a little bit more. I know they just lost Jeff Okudah. So I mean, it'll help with whoever they have at DB. I can't even name a DB they have. So it'll help with kind of getting to the quarterback a little bit faster. So I like Jalen Carter here at 6 for Detroit.
All right. Yeah, I think if Jalen Carter falls to 6, Detroit has to take him. And yeah, that makes that defensive line very formidable.
All right,
so I got the Raiders.
Yeah.
I think the Raiders. You know, your concern is Jimmy Garoppolo, but he has shown the ability to win. I think his skill positions they're actually pretty good. So my concern is, or where I'm looking is either defense, or that offensive line with the Raiders. I'm going to go with the offensive line. I don't think even Devin Witherspoon, who it has ranked fourth, I don't have that high of a grade on him. I don't think he's that locked down. So I'm going to go with Peter Skoronsky, just given the best tackle. And then you add him with Colton Miller. Put them on either side, however that works, left tackle, right tackle. I think you're starting to build something there. And football teams are built in the trenches. So when you add that weapon, that offensive lineman, the ability to protect the quarterback, that's what Jimmy Garoppolo is going to need to be successful. And if he has the ability to get the ball out, and then we add another guy that can help block for Josh Jacobs, I think that will help the Raiders be a little bit better.
Yeah, I like that pick. I think it's a
Yeah,
safe pick. I think it's a safe pick for them, and I feel like that's at this point in the draft, like with who's gone off the board and who's remaining, I feel like that would be the pick that would make the most sense.
Yeah.
hmm I also think they've notoriously had one of the worst O lines. They haven't had a good O line since like Derek Carr's almost MVP season.
Right.
I think that's a good pick. The funny thing is, if I probably would have picked him too, and I'll give it away, but he was gonna be my pick for Atlanta, which is funny. I guess that'll be a good transition into my pick. But it's funny because there's a lot of good tackles. Like um, the top four are like top 15 prospects, which is crazy
Yeah.
overall. So with that being said, with Atlanta, I'll go Paris Johnson Jr. here.
I love Paris.
Yeah, he's a dog. Um, I think he can be one of those cornerstone guys. His comp is Teron Armstead, which obviously is a stud. Um, a All Pro in the league already. I think he has that kind of ability, and on top of that, it's like the tackles, the offensive line that they have now in general, or the team in general. I think any pick that you take this high is gonna make that team better. Like they just need they just need talent at this point. Like you can say that Atlanta needs this or that. They just need talent because I can't think of one position group where they're just doing well at. But I think Paris Johnson Jr. is a really good pick. You get a tackle. So when you do get a quarterback at some point, because it's not Mariota, or whenever Ritter decide, or whenever
Yeah,
they
we'll see what
decide,
I think this is gonna be a year where they really look at Ritter and see
I think
if
so
he's
too.
legit.
I give it like 5 games or so, because I think Mariota will know what type of year Mariota's gonna have very soon, very early in the year. But you got your guy, you got your cornerstone tackle. So I like Johnson Jr.
Alrighty, so with the Chicago Bears, the ninth pick in the draft, with this one, I'm not gonna let Devin Witherspoon fall any further. I'm gonna keep him in Illinois, and I'm gonna pair him up in Chicago with whoever else plays corner in Chicago. Um,
Jalen Johnson, he's actually really good.
okay, yeah, he's straight. They still got Eddie Jackson too, right?
And yeah, him, Brisker, like
Hey,
if they
hey,
get
low key, that secondary would be nice. Now that
low,
Brisker would low key be nice.
low
But
key,
we'll take Witherspoon here. I mean, he's the consensus number one corner in the draft. And I did not even know who he was coming until the draft started.
same.
I did not know who he was. Like I
Oh,
didn't know
he's
about him
nice.
all year last year. Obviously Illinois was really good, but that wasn't somebody that like I was hearing about.
Hmm.
I was hearing more so about like Chase Brown and stuff. Not, I mean, he's a running back obviously, but still like
Yeah.
Devin Witherspoon. Like I just now found out about him. And that's where I have been going. I am going to Chicago, staying in Illinois, and trying to help Justin Fields right the ship in uh in Soldier Field.
I'm with
Soldier.
you. All right. So I got the Eagles. This is a luxury pick. If you remember, they got this as the Saints wanted to trade back in the draft last year. So this team that just went to the Super Bowl. And I think they have one position that I would call not fully solidified. And I'm going to say with that, really literally the number one prospect on the board, Bijan Robinson, I think gives them that bell cow. They do have Rashad Penny, but Rashad Penny was up and down even with Seattle. And the Eagles like to use a committee running back type style, which actually concerns me about this being the pick. But I think Bijan can be a bell cow running back. And like I said, to me, for the Eagles, this is a luxury pick. This is, they're not obviously the 10th worst team in the NFL. This is a pick they got for trading back, and they still have a pick later in this round. So I think they can I don't want to say reach, but they can go get a position of luxury a little bit more, knowing that they still have the 30th pick. So yeah, I go Bijan Robinson.
I
I
like
like
that pick a
that.
lot. I like
I
that
do
pick a lot.
too.
I think that makes their offense probably. I mean, obviously, if he comes out and he's what we expected him to be, and what we all think he's going to be, I think that will make them probably the best offense in the league. And I mean, they were already considered a top three offense, top two
Well, with
offense.
that O
Yeah.
line too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think he's superior to Miles Sanders, and Miles Sanders was good for them.
Miles
Yes.
Sanders is great.
So we'll
Yeah.
just have to see. But I like that pick.
Okay, so we got Tennessee on the clock. I think it's very obvious here. I mean, I guess you could go with a tackle here. Obviously, they're always going to need O line help. Um, you could look at quarterback. I think it's too early to take another quarterback here for them. Look at Richardson, but I think they got to go with the best receiver on the board. Um, I'm taking Jackson Smith. How do you in
And
Jiba?
Jackson Smith and Jigba. Come on
In
now.
Jigba. In Jigba.
And Jigba.
Uh,
JSN.
the man can ball. I don't know what it is about Ohio State, man, but they just put out receivers, bro. Like I'm a big fan of like all the NFL receivers that come out of there. Like they had two top 12 picks last year that were receivers.
Both of them
Um,
went over 1,000.
both of them balled out. You know, both of them were competing for Offensive Rookie of the Year, which is pretty cool. Like if you think about it. Um, Shout out Olave, man, putting on for
Yep.
San Diego. But I really like this pick here. They have struggled and missed at receiver, picking what they picked like Corey Davis a few years ago, and then trading AJ Brown, getting Traylon Burks. And that the jury's still out on it. Obviously, like that, they did not win that trade at all. I don't think they had anything to gain from keeping AJ Brown because they weren't gonna do nothing with him. Might as well give him to a team that's gonna go to the bowl. But yeah, I think again, kind of like my last pick with Atlanta, you just need pieces. And receiver has been one of the positions that's haunted this team for a while. Like they've always had like the really low key players that would be number three options on a lot of the teams, but like played decent. Like what was his name? Hunter. Isn't he from Virginia? I forgot his first name.
Justin Hunter.
Oh,
Justin
Justin
Hunter. Like
Hunter.
he
Yeah,
was
yeah. He
good.
went to Ocean Lakes.
Yeah. Kendall Wright, but it's like the average NFL fan doesn't really know who those guys are. So I think this is a big playmaker. Um, and I think they got to take the best receiver on the board here.
Okay.
Okay, I like that pick. I was hoping that he fell to my
Yeah.
Texans. That's what I was hoping for. But with this pick, I'm in between two players right now. I mean, the obvious pick here is to go with the wide receiver. But I have a question before I do this, just because obviously, like the Texans know this, but I personally don't. Is the wide receiver for the Texans? Me and my dad did a video not too long ago.
You talking about Brandon Cooks?
No, the dude from Alabama who
Mitchie.
Come
yeah,
on,
is he back or is he not back?
He should be back.
I think he's supposed to come back this season.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do here then, I'm gonna go with a different pick, assuming that Mechie's coming back, and I think they can get another wide receiver later, maybe in the second round, just because you guys looking at the other wide receivers, there there's still some good. You got Hyatt later on.
Yeah.
You still have Zay Flowers,
It's
Addison,
deep.
Johnson. So I mean, I think there's a good amount of receivers. I don't think there's a lot of good corners. They got Stingley. They have Mechie already. They have Cook. So I'm going to take Christian Gonzalez here. So they have their two corners for the future. They have a good defense. Obviously, defense they need that. But they do need receivers at the same time. That's why I was kind of in between getting Jordan Addison or Christian Gonzalez here. But I just feel like the wide receiver depth is a little bit better in this year's draft. And so maybe in the second round, assuming they have the second pick in the second round, then they could get a wide receiver at that point. That's what I would do. So I'm gonna take Christian Gonzalez here, the consensus second best corner, and that's where I'm gonna go to pair him alongside Stingley.
Okay. No,
All
I
right.
like that pick. I like that pick. I think
No, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, I think especially losing Cooks, they do need a receiver, but I do also agree that they can get a receiver later. I mean, we've seen some good
I
second
think
round.
if JSN falls, they'll pick him. That's
Yeah,
what I was
yeah,
hoping for.
absolutely.
But because he got taken, I don't I can't see them reaching for a wide receiver that early. Just because I mean I don't if even if I just look here, the next wide receiver is Addison, and his average draft position is
No, I
24.
think go up. I
I
think there
like.
was one before him. Where's
No, that's it.
the wide receiver from TCU?
He's
Oh,
right here.
Quentin
Oh,
Johnson.
Quentin Johnston. Yeah,
So his
Johnson.
okay.
average draft position is about 21, but he's still ranked lower than him. That's why I
Okay.
just think they could get somebody else. That's why I went with a corner there.
All right. So I
You got the
have
Packers.
Green Bay. Green Bay, we all know now that this is officially the era after Aaron Rodgers. So this is actually, I was hoping for an offensive lineman for this pick. I wanted Paris Johnson. I don't think Paris Johnson is going to fall to them. And I think going any other offensive lineman might be a reach. However, there is one offensive lineman that I somewhat like, and I think he has some positional value. I think, like I said, you have to protect your quarterback here. I don't really like this line, so I'm going to go Broderick Jones. Again, this guy's a freak athlete. He's massive and a freak athlete. But I think he played some tackle guard last year. There were some thoughts that he may move to guard, but I think he has the ability, he has the physicality and the traits to be a very good offensive tackle in the NFL. And I think Green Bay can start him off at right tackle. And like I said, with Jordan Love, I think they have the weapons and they have young weapons with Christian Watson and Ricky Dobbs. You have Jones in the backfield. So now it's about protecting Jordan Love.
Yeah, I like that pick. That's a good pick. Um, I probably would have went somewhere else with that pick. But I like that pick a lot. I don't. I think Broderick Jones going to Green Bay with David Bakhtiari is I mean, solidify the offensive line. So I like it.
Yeah. So you put him on the right side, Bakhtiari on the left.
Patriots on the clock.
Yeah, man. I think the Patriots. I had a few directions. I think I was gonna go receiver, but I don't feel super confident in their receiver room. I mean, they just got Juju. Um, Tyquan Thornton hasn't really shown us anything. I really could still go there, but right here, I like Tyree Wilson here. Um, I think again, I don't really know who their defensive end is right now. I think that's a very Belichick esque pick
Yeah, I
there.
agree. That is
Yeah,
very Belichick.
yeah, and that's kind of why I was leaning toward it. Not more so how would I build the Patriots, but with this pick specifically, I think it's pretty safe. I mean, he's very high rated. I mean, he's the highest rated defensive end in the draft. Um, his comp is Trey Hendrickson, which we saw him really come alive in New Orleans, and then got him a big deal in Cincy. Um, but again, I think that's a really good pick for them. A really safe New England type pick. Um, they're not. I don't think they go quarterback. I think this might be Mac Jones' prove it year. Kind of his last chance. So I think they'll hold off on that. But yeah, I like Wilson here.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
good pick.
Yeah, I'm good with that pick. Yeah.
Alrighty, and with the New York Jets, I'm going to do what Green Bay did not do, and I'm going to give him another weapon. And I'm going to take the number one ranked player on the board left. I'm going to take Dalton Kincaid. My dad and I saw him live.
Yeah.
He's a beast. And I think giving him that tight end, already having good weapons with Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, the other receivers they have. I mean, I think that gives him far more than what he had in Green Bay. Obviously, for the last 2 3 seasons, they did not give him any help in the draft. They were drafting really kind of stupid. They could have gotten a lot of good players, and they may have Aaron Rodgers still right now. They may have been able to compete for a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I like Dalton Kincaid here with this pick. He was, I mean, I would say, oh, my screen is tweaking. I would say he was either number one or number two best tight end in the country this past season, either him or dude out of Georgia.
Now, well, also though, because you're talking about Brock Bowers.
Yeah,
I also like Meyer. I think Meyer's a better
Michael
all
Mayer.
around.
I
I
think he's
think
better
Meyer's a
all
better
around.
all around tight end. I think Kincaid is a receiving tight end, but
Yes,
perfect for Aaron Rodgers.
yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
So yeah, I'm gonna go Dalton Kincaid here though.
Okay. So Washington, I don't. Again, this is another thing where I don't think you can go into NFL season with Sam Howell as your starting quarterback. I think they'll bring in a veteran at some point, but with that, they also have to be looking at the future. Again, I don't think Anthony Richardson today is a great quarterback. I don't think he's ready for the NFL. I think he should have went back to Florida for 1 year. But I also think he has all the skills to be a good quarterback. He's big, he's fast, he's strong, he has a big arm. I think there's some pocket things that he needs to fix, some footwork things that he needs to fix. But you hope maybe you get him with a veteran who can help mentor him because again he has all the measurables, all the tools. It's just about refining those that skill set. And I think Washington will reach a little bit and go with Anthony Richardson.
I don't I don't think that's a reach. I think Anthony Richardson falling that far is kind of crazy, and
Well,
I don't think he's that good. But I mean, I think with how they've been hyping him up and
yeah, he's a
like
freak athlete.
like the odds and stuff, I think him going at 16 would kind of be a disappointment for him. Just because I mean, there's talk with him going to the Colts
Yeah.
at 3 and stuff like that, which very well might happen. But I could see him in Washington. I don't think this is a bad spot for him. I think he is the fourth best quarterback out of I mean everybody we kind of talked about.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at that pick.
Okay.
Steelers on the clock.
Steelers on the clock. To be honest, the Steelers aren't great. I mean, they are great at certain positions, but I feel like they're as bad as they've performed or just not really been a playoff team. I feel like they have so much potential on that roster and so much talent. Like, um, I think that's why that's this position. I'm gonna go with a safe pick and just I'm gonna go with Darnell Wright, um, from Tennessee. Um, number 18 overall, but I think you just kind of help. You got to help out your quarterback if you're gonna roll with what's my guy's name, bro?
Goff.
Quarterback from
Oh,
Pittsburgh,
you talking about from Pittsburgh, the quarterback from Pittsburgh. Can he
Pickett.
uh,
Kenny Pickett.
pick it?
Pickett, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you got to help him out in his development. He showed some promise. I'm not gonna lie, he kind of surprised me. I think if you go get an offensive tackle, a pretty highly rated. Like I said, the top four tackles are solid. I think after Wright though, there's a big drop off. But I think the Steelers, I was looking at D line and corner, and I know they just signed a few people in free agency at corner. I think their D line is always solid. I don't think they really need any work there at this very moment in time. So I think the safe pick there is to just go with Darnell right there, kind of shore up that O line, and get Kenny feeling more secure in the pocket there. I think the offense goes as far as he does.
Hey, before you pick Steven, it's kind of crazy to me for Detroit that they have team needs number one wide receiver. I actually like St. Brown and Williams. I
And
like
Chark
their, huh?
is Chark still there?
I'm not sure if Chark's still there. But I don't think that's their biggest need. In fact, I think Detroit needs to draft 8 defensive players. They need defensive players.
Chark went to Carolina. So
Now I
yeah,
know Williams is what he's going to miss 6 games. I think he got suspended for gambling, but still, I think the
No,
receiving
I
room is
mean,
okay.
well, it depends because you could probably only name 3 receivers. I can only name 3 receivers on that team, and one of them is going to be suspended for 6 games, and another one of
Yeah,
them is not very
yeah,
good.
but so we're talking
Josh
about they
Reynolds
have
or
Yeah.
two, and again we don't know Jameson Williams, right? He came back from injury late, but St. Brown is a true number one.
he's
You
that
got
guy.
Jameson Williams who can possibly be a guy who takes your top off, and they're both very young. So you have two good young receivers. I think you can afford to pick up, especially somebody who's going to be your third receiver. You can pick up somebody in free agency.
Yeah. Well, I had the Detroit pick, um, and I was not going to go receiver. I'm gonna mirror my Jets pick. and I'm gonna give them a tight end, and this is where I'm gonna go Michael Mayer. I already gave them Jalen Carter to help out Aiden Hutchinson. So I feel like we don't necessarily need. I almost went Miles Murphy here just to kind of go alongside with Aiden Hutchinson, and they would have. I mean, Miles Murphy, we don't know what he would be in the NFL, but let's just say he is a starting caliber player. Then you have three really good defensive linemen. Um, but this is where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Michael Mayer here. Because after Michael Mayer, I can't name another tight end in this draft.
Right.
So I feel
You
like
still got the guy from Detroit. I mean, from Detroit, from Georgia. Um,
Brock
what's it?
Bowers. Oh, Darnell
No.
Washington. Darnell
Darnell
Washington. Yeah.
Washington. Yeah.
But I mean, if you just look at the average draft position, he's supposed to be a middle to late second round pick.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Michael Mayer here. I feel like
Yeah.
it's another safe pick. It's a team need. I don't think they need a wide receiver early. I think they just like the Texans, they can get one later in the draft. They don't really need a home run hitter right now. But I do think Michael Mayer is a franchise tight end type player who will be with the team for a really long time. And I don't think any of the other tight ends on the board can do that other than Kincaid. So that's
Yeah.
why I went with Michael Mayer at 18.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Especially after they lost
Hawkinson.
Hawkinson. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Tampa Bay. I think some of the things they need, they'd be reaching right now. They could always use an offensive line, and based off the way the board is played out, I probably would have looked tight end. But I don't think, based off of the way our board is played out, there's a tight end worth this pick. So I'm gonna go in a pick in a way you just said. I think they could always use a pass rusher. I'm gonna go Miles Murphy. I don't like their defensive ends. I think there's a lot of places where they need help. I think Miles Murphy is just a solid guy who is going to be able to play well in the NFL. Did well at Clemson. Yeah, I think he's just a solid 10-year starter who's going to get you, somewhere between 7 to 10 sacks per season and just play good football. So yeah, I'm going Miles Murphy.
Yeah, I like that pick. I don't know how well he fits with them though. Just because I'm almost positive they run a 3-4.
They do run a 3-4.
Okay. And he's not the best on the interior. I mean, I watched Miles Murphy play 45 games in the last 3 years.
Well, I mean, yeah, you probably know more about him than.
Yeah, and so I don't know how well he would be not on the edge unless they're going to convert him to an outside linebacker. He's not good at pass coverage, so I'm not sure how that would work. But I'm sure they could figure out something. But I mean, I'm happy with him going 19. That's high enough, I guess. As a Clemson fan. But the Seahawks, what you got for the Seahawks, Sterling?
Yeah, so I'm picking for Seattle again. I think this team, I wouldn't say they're hard to pick for, but I don't think there's like a clear cut player that they could take any of these picks. So we're here, I'm gonna give them some more secondary help again, build that defensive core. But I'm gonna go Brian Branch here, safety from Alabama. I think it's similar to what Houston did when they drafted Stingley and then they got Jalen Petrie. Just got a young corner, stud corner with a safety that has potential, and I think the recipe is there, man. Like Petrie had a good season. The funny thing is that's actually his draft comp, which is funny. I just thought of that and seen that Jalen Petrie was his draft comp. But I think Pete Carroll can do a lot with that. This is more of a depth pick, and then whenever Quandre Diggs, I know he may not be there too much longer, but I know he's been a really good mainstay in that defense for a few years. He could be a guy that comes in and does a lot. Playing the nickel, he can kind of play back and play in zone coverage. I know he became more of a coverage guy at Bama, like later on this season, in the last season, but I think he adds some good depth to that team. Again, another young, potentially core player in Seattle, and they're trying to build up that defense. So I like Brian Branch here.
I like it.
Yeah, I do as well.
I like it.
So I got the Chargers. I got Sterling's favorite team. And I'm gonna go a little bit. I think this is gonna be the first pick out of the entire draft, or it might be an eyebrow raiser. But I'm trying to envision like the fit. So they got Keenan Allen, they got Mike Williams. Keenan Allen's a possession type receiver. Mike Williams is a red zone guy. I think they need that Kadarius Toney type player. They need somebody who can run jet sweeps, who can run screens, somebody who's a little bit faster, maybe undersized but quick. So I'm not going to go Jordan Addison here.
Yeah, I don't think he's fast.
I'm going to go Zay Flowers out of Boston College.
I like Zay.
Obviously, I'm an ACC guy, so I watched him quite a bit. He killed Clemson. I think the last 2 or 3 years. Well, I want to know what they have him as his comp. T.Y. Hilton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the Chargers were the second most taken team for the draft, so that makes me feel good. But yeah, I really like Zay Flowers. He's small, and just you guys don't know this obviously because you guys didn't watch the game. But when I was watching the Clemson Boston College game last year, they said that heading into this past season, so heading into the 2022 season, he had like a crazy NIL deal for like $7 million that he declined because he wanted to stay loyal to Boston College. And to me, that's pretty crazy. And they said that it was championship level teams that were offering him to go. So that kind of shows his character as well. I've never kind of seen a player of that size do
Well,
what
I
he
think
did.
Drake May has also done it. Also turned
that's
down a lot
different.
of NIL. Yeah.
That's different though, because he's a quarterback. So I feel like
Yeah.
that's a little bit different. But and I also feel like North Carolina is higher in stature than Boston College is. I don't think Boston College would ever even compete for the ACC. North Carolina literally played in the ACC championship game. So I feel like with Zay Flowers doing that, it shows character. I think he's a very underrated wide receiver. Like I said, he killed Clemson. So I like him with the Chargers fitting alongside Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I think that would be nice with Zay Flowers with them.
I don't really see that as an eyebrow raiser. I feel like
No.
that's the most obvious pick
Well,
there.
with
Especially for
Addison,
Chargers.
with Addison there, I think he's the
gotcha.
best receiver on the board still.
Yeah, he just complements what they do. Like you said, you explained it well. Mike Williams is kind of the deep ball, jump ball, red zone guy. Keenan Allen is going to move the sticks every time. But I think you get a Zay Flowers. You got a speed guy, a guy who can just add more plays to the offense. You know, you're not running jet sweeps. They do actually run jet sweeps with like Mike Williams and Keenan sometimes, but like they don't have to do that anymore. I think his speed along with Herbert's arm would be immaculate. It's funny, obviously, like watching the Chargers. I watch dang near every game. I've seen Herbert with lesser talented speed receivers. He had like this guy Marcus Johnson his rookie year, and then Jalen Guyton. There was one other guy, but like he was able to like hit those guys 60-yard bombs, 70-yard bombs, and it's like no name guys. So like an actual talented speed guy, I think would fit really well in that offense with Herbert. I really like that pick. I hope he does go there tomorrow. Actually.
All right. Who you got for Baltimore?
So Baltimore's a little tricky, right? Obviously they added OBJ, but I still think they need to add some weapons on the outside. But I just don't think, based off the way our board played out, I am a little concerned about Jordan Addison at the NFL level. And I think they also have another position of need, which is cornerback. Now, me being a Big Ten guy, you have two Big Ten cornerbacks there. But I honestly like Joey Porter Jr. a little bit better than Deontay Banks. So I'm going to go Joey Porter Jr. Obviously has NFL pedigree. I like he has a lot of confidence about himself. And yeah, I think outside of Marlon Humphrey, Baltimore, especially playing the Bengals, which really is the team that they're trying to catch. You have to have people that can defend out on the edge, can defend those receivers. I think Joey Porter makes sense because their other cornerbacks are not good outside of, like I said, Marlon Humphrey.
I like that pick. I think he's a good corner, and I think it's something that they need for sure. I mean, you could have went wide receiver too, but I feel like either way, it was they needed both tremendously. So, and I think adding OBJ, if you were to go with the wide receiver here, I feel like it's kind of like overkill a little bit,
right?
Because they can get a receiver later. Sterling, who you got for my Minnesota Vikings?
For the Vikings, I have Jordan Addison here, bro.
Ooh.
I don't know. Y'all talking downplaying him a little bit. I think he's gonna be nice, man. I think he'll be
Okay.
nice.
No, I think it's gonna be nice too. I hope we
Um,
get him. I hope we get him.
I could see it, man. Him and Jetta would be something fun, if nothing else. If nothing else, if they don't do not, I think they would be fun to watch. Kirk proved that he's a great regular season quarterback with receivers. Is the jury's still out on if he can win in the big primetime games. But that being said, I think he would do tremendous with Jordan Addison. Um, I just liked him as a receiver. I don't know what he did. I haven't really been paying attention, but I feel like he dropped a lot. I feel like he was
I mean,
considered a
what
lot.
won the Blitnikoff last year, but he didn't have a great year. When I say last year, I mean the year before when
Yeah,
he was still with Pitt. But he didn't have a great year last year. I don't think he went for 1,000 yards.
yeah, and that's it's funny. That's kind of how I remember him. I remember him with Pitt, so that's probably why I don't have the recency. Like I'm thinking of him like what he did with Pitt. And I'm like, yo, he was nice. He won the Blitnikoff Award, all that. So, but I again, it, I think going to Minnesota is a great fit for him. I think that offense in general, just looking up, they just have two other just passing weapons that are going to allow him to really do his thing. And Hawkinson and Jetta, obviously, who is to me a top two receiver in the league.
Oh yeah,
Um,
easy.
yeah, easily at this point. Two, three. He's up there. And then Hawkinson to me is a top 4 or 5 tight end. Um, he's a sleeper. He's a sleeper. I think in that offense, he's going to do great. Um, he can stretch the field as well. Obviously, you were just talking about he's not fast, but I think he has enough speed to stretch the field. I think his route running can kind of set him up to get more of that separation too. So I like Addison here. He kind of reminds me of Calvin Ridley a little bit. Obviously,
Me too.
I don't
Yeah.
think he's as good. Um, obviously, like Calvin was like a day one. He was just that guy. But I think Addison would be great. They actually compare. See Emmanuel Sanders. I'm looking at ESPN and they got him comp to Keenan Allen. I don't
Mm.
I don't see that.
I don't
I
see
see
that
Calvin
either.
Ridley more. Probably the most. I probably see
I see
Calvin Ridley the
really
most.
I see really the most just based off of footwork, route running.
Even like size, they look the same too.
Yeah,
Like
fact.
in pads and stuff, they look the same.
Yeah,
Like same
yeah,
body style and stuff, body type.
yeah. I got Addison there.
So I got the Jaguars. Um, with the Jaguars, I am not going to fulfill a team need here. Um, the reason being, well, I mean, it's technically a team need. It's not an edge guy. He's an interior defensive lineman. I'm gonna go with Brian Brzee.
Mhm.
Um, I like him going there to play with Devin Lloyd. I can't name any of their interior linemen. I know they have Devin Lloyd, they have Trayvon Walker, they have Josh Allen. So I like Brian Brzee, kind of shoring up the front seven. Just because, like I said, I can't name you a defensive tackle on that team. So I think he would fit there well. Obviously, they took Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne 2 seasons ago or last draft, whenever it was. So I like Brian Brzee with this pick, and I know he's probably a little bit further down. But I think, like I said, this is I mean, average draft position is 28, so it's not terrible.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it's,
but I mean, he did have health issues. There's trends. I don't have him pick another. But he did have health issues this past season. He tore his ACL at the end of 2021, so he didn't play as much this year. But when he is on the field, he's a force. He's dominant. He was a number one recruit in 2019, I believe, or 2020. He was the number one recruit coming out of Massachusetts, I think. Oh, no, Maryland. He came out of Maryland. But I mean, I like him with the Jaguars, and I think this is kind of a pick that I could visually see them picking them. I could see him playing with the Jaguars. So that's why I went there instead of Kalijah Cansey.
okay. So for the Giants, so I think the thing for me with the Giants is now you have to give Daniel Jones weapons. I think the Giants have started to try to do that. They picked up Waller, which was a big piece. They picked up Harris Campbell from the Colts. We got to see what Darius Slayton is. But I think they still need more. You have to take some of that load off Saquon, and you just gave Daniel Jones $40 million. So I think you need a true, because I don't think Slayton has proven himself to be a number one, and I don't think Paris Campbell, as much as I love him out of Ohio State, is a number one. So I'm going to go Quentin Johnson, big receiver, 6'3", kind of that New York style, physical.
Martavis Bryant.
Yeah, wide receiver. And I think that is probably the guy who could just move chains, beat you deep. He can do a lot of things, and I think that's really, if you're the Giants, you're trying to get weapons for that offense to help Daniel Jones get a little bit better.
That's a good pick. I like that pick. Big receiver.
Yep.
Okay. I think Dallas here. I think here they go. I would go personally. It's between two guys. Part of me wants to go corner, and part of me, no, yeah, I think I'll go corner here. I like Emmanuel Forbes here. He hasn't already been picked, has he?
No.
He's
right.
Okay. To be honest, I don't know too much about him, but he's pretty fast. I mean, looking at his college stats, even just like his comp to Dante Jackson, I mean, that's a pretty good comparison. But bro, like you can't really go wrong adding a corner to this team. I think, especially a guy who was top 3 at his position coming into the draft. Across from Trayvon Diggs. Again, I think that defense has a lot of potential, and they showed a lot of flash. But I think here, especially with Dallas making the playoffs and being so late in the first round, I think this is a good value pick for them. Like obviously, first round pick, everything's gonna have value. But considering that it's a first round pick, I like Forbes here. I think them going corner. To be honest, I kind of wanted Joey Porter Jr. here, but obviously that was taken already. But I like Forbes. I think they got him ranked higher than Porter, but like it's the same with the Brian Bresee pick. I liked him better than the other D tackle that was there, Cansey. I liked him better. So yeah, I got Forbes there that for Dallas.
Hey, just as a quick little tangent, I know we're doing an NFL mock draft video. The Heat were down 16. Jimmy Butler hit a tying shot to go to overtime, and they're in overtime right now. They were down 16.
I got it up on my phone.
I don't. Edgar texted me and was like, Jimmy Butler is him. And I'm like, I looked over, I pulled it up. All I seen was an and one or like a layup. 40, they were down 16, bro. That is crazy.
That man has 40.
They're in overtime right now. But all right, moving on to the Bills. I'm between two players here. Well, really three players. I'm between Kalijah Kancey, Deontay Banks, and there's another guy on here that he's very far down. Very, very far down, actually. We've only taken one running back in this draft so far, I believe. The only reason I'm kind of hesitant on this is because they signed Damian Harris.
Yeah.
But just picturing Jahmyr Gibbs with the Bills, with what he did with Alabama, I think that would help them a lot. Although I really want to draft Jahmyr Gibbs to the Bills because they just signed Damian Harris, I do know they have other holes they need to fill. So I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to go Deontay Banks here. I think they need a corner. I think this is, other than Sam Smith out of South Carolina, this is really the only other corner that I kind of trust. The only other corner that's projected in the first round.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Bills have another pick until the end of the second round. So I think getting a corner here, they need that. So I'm going to go Deontay Banks rather than going Jahmyr Gibbs. But I definitely wanted Jahmyr Gibbs on that team. I think he'll be nice with Buffalo.
All right, man. It is crazy that I get the Bengals. And as I looked at this pick and I looked at what the Bengals need, if you guys know, I'm a Bengals fan. I wanted Osiris Torrance. We've had some problems with the guard, but just the way the board is played out, I got to go Kalijah Kancey. We still are not great at getting at the quarterback. I like this young man, and I just think if the board happened to play out this way, we gotta take him. Like we have to take him.
Yeah, him falling this far back, I feel like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, for them or the Bills to get him, shoot, even the Cowboys. So, Moving on though, we got the Saints up. The last three picks of the first round.
Yep. So the Saints, I know I see their needs there. I think going guard or center at this point might be a little bit of a reach. And that's why I'm not gonna go with the lineman here. Um, I don't know what their pass rush is really looking like. I know they just lost Davenport. He's in Minnesota, so Marcus Davenport is gone. I know they still got. I don't know who they have opposite Cam Jordan though. So I think this might be a little high, but I think I'm gonna. I was gonna go Ojolari. I think I'm gonna go Will McDonald here. I think that's a good pick. Um, I think I'll go Will McDonald. Part of me kind of likes Ojolari more, um, but I think that's a good value pick there. I think he fits that scheme. He's a similar kind of pass rusher to Davenport, so I think he kind of fulfills that need a little bit for them. I think it's crazy that we still have Van Ness on the board, but I think I like the outside linebacker. I just feel like that kind of fits their scheme a little bit more. But putting him opposite Cam Jordan, I think is a good pick. I like Will McDonald.
I mean, I like that pick.
Yeah.
They need defensive end, so
Mm.
that's not bad. So with the Eagles, I know my dad drafted Bijan Robinson earlier in the draft for them. The receiver position never got filled. I think I'm gonna go receiver here, just because I think the rest of the decent receivers are gonna start going, and there's not many left. I think there's three or four. I mean, you got Hyatt, Downs, Marvin Mims is all right. I'm actually going to go Josh Downs here. Another guy in the ACC, another really small receiver. I think pairing him with Devontae Smith and AJ Brown kind of gives a different feel. AJ Brown's obviously bigger. Josh Downs is really small. He looks kind of like Zay Flowers. Another kind of guy who does like jet sweep screens, the underneath stuff. Another guy who obviously Clemson had a problem with when we played against. So I'm gonna go Josh Downs here for the Eagles. And I was between him and Hyatt, but I like Downs' play style in compared to Hyatt when you're talking about what they need, what the Eagles need.
That's
I like that.
dangerous, man. They're just playing around, bro. Like just drafting whoever.
All right, and with the final pick, obviously the Dolphins forfeited their pick. So with the
Yeah.
final pick,
Yeah.
the Chiefs.
So Chiefs are kind of playing with luxury. They did lose. They did lose players. They did lose their left tackle. They did pick up Juwan Taylor from the Jaguars. But I like the ability. I think the Chiefs, Super Bowl champs, continue to use depth. And man, you can't get more massive than Dawad Jones. Just a big, massive guy. Some like 6'8", 370. Allowed only 5 pressures all season. I think if you have the ability to grab that guy, especially late, could still use some refinement. But if you can grab him late, if you're the Chiefs, put him on a rookie contract, lock him up for 5 years, and he could be your left. Or for us, Paris Campbell played left tackle, so he has the ability to play right tackle. He could be your right tackle for 10 years.
Alrighty, and that rounds out the Clash of Cultures first round mock draft.
Any surprises? Anybody
Um,
left that probably they should have went first round?
I think Van Ness, that's one. I wouldn't say a surprise, but I could definitely see him going in the 20s in the later first round.
I think the only big surprise is probably Anthony Richardson falling to 16. Just because,
Yeah, that probably won't happen. I think
yeah,
we're all just aware that I don't think he has the skills. I don't think he was great with the Gators. I saw him play with the Gators. He has all the tools, but he reminds me of, and I don't want to say this is how he turns out, but he reminds me of like a Jamarcus Russell, a guy with all the tools, all the skills, but will it translate? And we didn't see it translate last year. I mean, and we haven't really seen it translate. I don't think you're a top 10 quarterback, especially when you're playing with Florida, and you're a below 500 quarterback.
I'm excited to see like how many of these picks we get right.
Probably none.
Yeah.
No, we'll get some of them. I mean, I don't think we'll get 1 and 2 right because I think they're gonna take Bryce Young.
Yeah.
But like I
I
think
think 3.
like 3 through like maybe 3 through 10 are gonna be there. Like
I
especially
can
like
see. I
I
think
think the
Carter
Eagles
may go
will.
to Seattle. Um.
I mean I like Peter with the Raiders.
Yeah.
I like the Falcons pick. I like the Bears pick. I like the Eagles pick. So I mean I don't know. I think Jordan Addison's gonna go to the Vikings. I do think that unless he goes to the Chargers. Um, but I mean we'll just have to
Yeah, we're
see.
gonna have to keep this up, man, and take a picture of it, a screenshot or whatever, and then we have to come back maybe after the draft and talk about this.
Yeah, no, for sure. But all right, you guys, that's gonna wrap up the first round mock draft from us. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And make sure you guys come back to this video after the draft to see how we did. See
Yeah.
if we completely flopped or if we had any that are kind of accurate. But we will hit you guys with another video post draft tomorrow. But peace out.
Yes, sir.